There comes a moment in life when silence feels heavier than thunder. A message arrives, not with fire or noise, but with the quiet weight of truth. Many ignore it. Few listen, but those who listen are never the same again. This is not a threat. It is a sacred chance. A final warning is not meant to break you, it is meant to awaken you. In the Shaolin way, every ending is a seed of a beginning. What looks like the last door closing may, in truth, be the first step into real freedom. In this teaching, I will share why such warnings are rare and why they matter. You will learn how the Shaolin masters view time, not as a river without end, but as a breath that can vanish in an instant. You will discover why stillness is not weakness, but the highest form of strength. And you will see how discipline, silence, and service can transform ordinary living into a path of mastery. There are truths hidden in plain sight. Few speak about them because they unsettle the comfortable. But this message does not come to comfort you. It comes to awaken the fire that is buried within you, a fire that, if ignored, will burn you from the inside, but if guided, can light the way through every storm. Stay with me until the end of this teaching, because what you will hear may be the very reminder your spirit has been waiting for. Welcome, my friends, to Shaolin Soulfire. If you seek wisdom, discipline, and the power to rise above the illusions of this world, then join us. Subscribe now and walk with us on this path of self-mastery. There is a story often told within the temple walls. A young student once asked his master, "How much time do I have to reach enlightenment?" The master looked at him and replied, "Only one breath." The boy laughed, thinking it was a riddle. But years later, when he saw a fellow disciple collapse suddenly during training, he understood. One breath is all we are ever promised. We live as if the calendar stretches endlessly before us. We fill it with plans, promises, and dreams postponed for tomorrow. Yet, tomorrow is the greatest illusion of all. Shaolin wisdom teaches that clinging to the idea of tomorrow weakens the power of today. A warrior does not train for someday. He trains now, for the next strike may be his last. Mindfulness opens the eyes to this truth. When you sit in stillness and follow the rise and fall of your breath, you see how fragile it is. Each inhale is a gift given. Each exhale could be the final one. To honor this is not to live in fear, but to live in presence. Fear rushes the mind into regret or anxiety. Presence roots you in what is real. True mastery begins when postponement ends. Many people say, "I will start when I have more time," but time never arrives. It slips unnoticed, like sand between fingers. The Shaolin path does not wait. It teaches if something is essential, you act today. You rise, you move, you breathe with full awareness. The masters remind us, a single moment lived fully outweighs years lived unconsciously. And so the question is not how much time you have left. The question is, how awake are you in this very breath? There is a battlefield that no eye can see, yet it rages within every human being. It is not fought with swords or shields, but with thoughts, impulses, and emotions. The Shaolin path teaches that the greatest enemy is never outside, it is always inside. A monk rises each morning not to defeat another man, but to face himself. The weight of anger presses like armor, slowing every movement. Laziness whispers like a cunning rival, tempting him to stay still when discipline calls him forward. Fear stands like a shadow on the edge of the mind, reminding him of failure, rejection, or loss. These are not small foes. They are relentless, and they return every day. In ancient training halls, the sound of wooden staffs striking echoed not as violence, but as rhythm. Each strike was a reminder, discipline over desire, clarity over chaos. When sweat dripped to the floor, it was not proof of conquering others, but of taming the storms within. This is the essence of Shaolin combat. The true fight is against the weakness of the self. Life always sends the same final message. Conquer yourself or be conquered. The world may never strike you, yet anger will. The world may never chain you, yet fear will. The world may never deny you, yet laziness will rob you of everything. To win on the inner battlefield is to stand unshaken no matter the storms around you. Victory here is quiet. It is the discipline to rise when tired, the courage to act when afraid, the patience to stay calm when provoked. This is mastery, not glory won in front of crowds, but strength carried in silence. And once the self is conquered, the world has no power left to conquer. There is a silence deeper than the absence of sound. It is the silence that waits beneath every thought, every word, every restless motion of the mind. In Shaolin training, silence is not emptiness, it is clarity. The masters teach that when the mind grows quiet, the heart begins to speak. Noise is everywhere. It comes not only from the world, but from within. Memories that replay, worries that race, desires that shout for attention. A restless mind is like a stormed river, churning mud so thick that nothing can be seen beneath. But when silence settles, the water clears and truth rises from the depths. The old masters often trained in the mountains, not simply to build strength, but to listen. They would sit for hours among rocks and wind, their bodies still, their minds like mirrors. They believed wisdom is not gained by adding more, but by removing what is unnecessary. In the quiet, the world reveals its true face. A final warning never comes with thunder. It comes as a whisper you cannot hear if your mind is filled with noise. This is why silence is a weapon. It cuts through illusion. It sharpens perception. It teaches you to hear what others miss. To master silence is to master the self. It requires discipline to sit when the body wants distraction. It requires courage to face what arises in the stillness. Many avoid silence because it reflects them back to themselves. But only in that reflection does transformation begin. When you learn to carry silence within, you are no longer shaken by the world's noise. Every word, every action becomes guided by clarity. And in that stillness, the final message of life can finally be heard. Desire alone has never built anything lasting. Between the spark of wanting and the flame of achievement lies one narrow bridge: discipline. Without it, the fire burns out before it warms the room. With it, the flame becomes a guiding light that endures. In the Shaolin tradition, discipline is not a cage, it is devotion. A monk does not rise before dawn because he enjoys the cold or the weight of endless repetition. He rises because every movement, every breath, every drop of sweat is an offering to the path he has chosen. Discipline is not punishment, it is proof of commitment. There is a story of a young disciple who grew restless during training. "Why must we repeat the same forms every day?" he asked. The master handed him a dull blade and said, "Strike this stone once and see if it sharpens." The boy struck, but nothing changed. The master smiled. "So too with your mind and body. Only steady practice brings sharpness. One strike one day is not enough." Discipline sharpens the self in ways desire never can. Desire fades when difficulties rise. Discipline remains, carrying you through resistance, through boredom, through doubt. It transforms weakness into strength, chaos into order. The last message life whispers is simple. A gift unused will decay. Talent without discipline becomes regret. Potential without practice becomes a burden. What you neglect today will not wait for you tomorrow, it will vanish. The Shaolin path teaches that discipline is the greatest act of respect for the body, for the mind, and for the brief time given to us. When you walk this path, you no longer ask, "When will I be ready?" Instead, you rise each day knowing that readiness is built, breath by breath, through discipline itself. A man once asked a Shaolin master why life felt so heavy. The master placed a stone in his hand and told him to hold it tightly. Minutes passed, and the man's hand began to ache. "Why does it hurt?" the master asked. The man replied, "Because I will not let go." The master smiled and said, "This is the weight of illusion." Many spend their lives clutching at shadows, wealth that disappears, titles that fade, the praise of others that changes with the wind. These things feel solid while we hold them, yet they vanish the moment we loosen our grip. The more we cling, the more suffering grows, for the fear of losing becomes greater than the joy of having. Shaolin wisdom teaches that nothing outside the self is truly ours. Possessions, recognition, even the body, these are borrowed for a short while. To cling to them as permanent is to fight against the nature of life itself. Detachment does not mean rejection. It means freedom. It means to hold lightly, to walk without chains, to live without fear of loss. The final message is not shouted, but it is stern: release, or be broken by what you hold. A heart chained to illusion cannot rise. A mind addicted to validation cannot see truth. To let go is not weakness. It is the greatest strength. It allows the spirit to stand firm while everything around it changes. The ancient monks would meditate among falling leaves, reminding themselves what is meant to fall must fall. To resist is pain. To accept is peace. Detachment is not escape from life, but entry into its deeper reality. And in that release, the self finds a freedom no illusion can ever take away. There is a saying in the monastery: greatness is not born in a single moment, but carved slowly, like water shaping stone. A monk may polish the same stone every day, not because the stone needs it, but because he does. The act itself transforms him. What looks like repetition is, in truth, refinement. Small rituals, performed with care, shape the destiny of a life. The bow before training, the stillness before sleep, the morning breath taken with awareness, each is a thread in the fabric of mastery. To outsiders, they may appear trivial, but the Shaolin way teaches that destiny hides within the ordinary. It is not the single grand act that defines you, but the countless quiet acts that build upon one another day after day. There is a danger in ignoring this truth. Many wait for inspiration, for the perfect time to act. Yet while they wait, life moves on. Muscles weaken, clarity fades, and the chance to grow is lost. Ignoring daily practice is ignoring the message. Life whispers with every sunrise: time is short, but discipline can turn each moment into progress. The masters often say, do not ask when the results will come. Ask only if you have practiced today. For practice is not about reaching a finish line. It is about becoming. Each repetition is a step deeper into mastery, a reminder that strength, wisdom, and peace are not accidents. They are the result of steady devotion. The final message is clear. Without practice, your potential remains locked away, a treasure never uncovered. But with practice, even the simplest act, done daily, becomes a force that shapes your character, your destiny, and the very way you move through the world. The mind is like a blade. In the hands of one who is unfocused, it is dull, scattered, and without power. But in the hands of one who learns to direct it, the mind becomes sharp enough to cut through confusion, fear, and doubt. Shaolin wisdom teaches energy follows focus. Wherever your attention rests, there your life begins to flow. Distraction is the silent thief of destiny. It does not strike loudly. It erodes quietly. A moment stolen here, a thought wasted there, and soon a lifetime is scattered into fragments. The monks call this the disease of the wandering mind. To heal it, they return again and again to a single point of focus: the breath, the strike, the step. In this way, all energy gathers, like sunlight through a lens, igniting a flame. There is a story of a young disciple who tried to train while thinking of everything else: his family, his hunger, his dreams. His movements were weak, his spirit restless. The master stopped him and placed a bowl of water in his hands. "Walk to the gate without spilling a drop," he commanded. The boy's entire being became focused on that single task. Step by step, his energy aligned. When he returned, the master said, "This is how you must live, fully present, fully gathered." The final message of life is clear. Gather your energy, or lose it to nothingness. A scattered mind builds nothing. A focused mind builds worlds. Mastery is not found in having endless strength, but in directing what strength you already have toward what matters most. To hold your focus steady is to hold your destiny in your hands. And where the mind cuts, life follows. There is a pond in the mountains where monks often meditate. When the water is calm, the reflection is perfect, showing every stone, every ripple, every leaf above. But stir the water and the reflection vanishes. The mind too is like this pond. Stillness reveals truth. Movement and distraction conceal it. Stillness is not weakness. Many mistake silence for passivity, waiting for action to define strength. Yet true power lies in being unshakable, in holding clarity when chaos surrounds you. The monks sit for hours, their bodies motionless, their thoughts observed but not acted upon. In that quiet, they build a foundation stronger than any mountain, stronger than any blade. In stillness, you meet yourself without pretense. All the masks you wear in the world, the fear, the pride, the illusions of success, fall away when no one is watching. A monk in training learns to face the raw self, the restless mind, the impatient heart, the shadow that whispers of weakness. Only when seen without judgment can it be transformed. Many avoid this mirror. They fill their lives with noise, distraction, and movement, believing that action is always progress. Yet the last warning is simple. If you never sit with yourself, you will never meet yourself. Life may call you forward, but without reflection, you walk blindly. The masters remind us that stillness is an active force. It shapes the mind, sharpens the perception, and aligns energy. In the quiet, insight rises, and decisions are no longer dictated by impulse or fear. Stillness is the space where wisdom grows, where the self becomes known, and where the spirit finds its anchor in a world that never stops turning. In the quiet halls of the monastery, a young disciple once asked the master, "Why do we train so rigorously if the world does not watch us?" The master led him to a stream where the fish swam freely. He scooped water into his hands and let it flow back. "See," he said, "what we hold is not only for ourselves. Strength, skill, and wisdom are like this water. They must move outward, or they stagnate." Shaolin training is never meant for selfish gain. Every breath, every strike, every hour of meditation is a gift that grows more powerful when shared. True mastery is not measured by trophies, titles, or recognition. It is measured in how much you uplift others, how much your presence eases suffering, how your actions guide others toward clarity and strength. There is a story of an older monk who spent decades perfecting his forms. Many admired his precision, yet he was rarely seen teaching. One day, he began training the village children. Slowly, his discipline and skill became a ripple, reaching beyond himself, transforming lives in ways no solitary practice ever could. Mastery, he realized, is alive only when it touches others. The final message life offers is stern. Your gifts are not yours to bury. Talent hoarded becomes weight. Knowledge unshared becomes dust. The world calls for those willing to give what they have cultivated. To serve is not to diminish yourself. It is to honor the path, to extend its power beyond the self, and to anchor the spirit in purpose greater than personal desire. The Shaolin Way teaches that service is both a responsibility and a privilege. In every act of generosity, patience, and guidance, the self is refined and the world becomes a little brighter. Those who embrace this path carry a force that cannot be measured, only felt, a quiet strength that moves through the world, shaping destiny far beyond the monastery walls. A monk once walked through the forest and came upon a fallen leaf, crisp and brown, drifting in the wind. He held it in his hand and said, "This leaf has lived fully, and now it returns." So too must we understand the shape of life. Temporary, fragile, precious. Shaolin philosophy does not fear death. It studies it, reflects upon it, and lets its presence sharpen every living moment. Death is the teacher that never repeats a lesson. It is not morbid or cruel, but absolute and honest. To meditate on it is to awaken. When the mind contemplates its own end, trivial fears fade, distractions fall away. What once seemed urgent loses weight, and clarity rises. The body may still move through routines, but the spirit becomes fully alive. There is a story of a disciple who feared failure, fearing that life's work might never be enough. The master took him to the cemetery and said, "The bones here do not ask what you have built, only whether you lived with awareness." The disciple understood. Every action thereafter was imbued with presence, every breath a chance to act with purpose. Remembering death wakes one to life in ways nothing else can. Time is not endless. The moments we waste chasing illusions are moments never returned. Shaolin wisdom teaches that living asleep, ignoring the certainty of death, is the heaviest burden of all. The final message is always the same. Life is fleeting, and it waits for no one. To live fully is not to chase immortality, but to meet each day with consciousness, courage, and care. To train, to serve, to focus, to release illusions, these are the ways to honor the gift of time. Death is not an end, it is the mirror that shows the value of every breath while it still lingers. The final message is not distant or hidden. It resides within each of us. It whispers through stillness, speaks through discipline, and shines through clarity and service. Mastery of the self is the highest achievement, and every moment spent postponing it is a moment lost. Life gives us these gentle warnings not to frighten, but to awaken. To embrace them is to step fully into your own power, to act with presence, and to live with purpose. Each choice, each breath, is an opportunity to rise above distraction, fear, and illusion. Carry these lessons into your daily life. Begin with small acts of focus, reflection, and service. Let discipline guide your actions. Sit in stillness, observe your mind, and release what does not serve you. Over time, the path becomes clear, and the inner strength you cultivate will shape every corner of your life. May you move forward with calm awareness, courage, and wisdom. The journey of self-mastery is not always easy, but it is the most rewarding path one can walk. Thank you for joining us on this teaching. If these words resonated, subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire and walk with us on the path of inner strength and enlightenment. Like, share, and return whenever you seek guidance, stillness, and the quiet power that lies within.